thank you so much for joining us. How present is it that Mr. Trichet cuts interest rates or comes up with something to help the markets today? One, not to make the job too difficult for Mario Draghi, but also just to put that extra confidence on the markets, which the markets have lost over the last couple of weeks.
I think the really important thing is not so much what happens from day to day. The ECB has to have a credible long-term strategy. So I would certainly advise Trichet, and I'm sure Trichet is very much aware, what will Draghi do and to what extent can he make Draghi's job easier. And I think it is going to be one case of long-term liquidity being guaranteed that a easing of monetary policy would help. On the other hand, this is his last show, and this blow for the independence of the European Central Bank, I certainly hope he doesn't choose to go off on that note.
Yeah, and the problem is that I completely understand your argument, which is also what the politicians say, is that we can't, look at day-to-day moves and volatility on the markets. But I guess if you don't give that confidence to the markets, they're at the end of the day the ones that are going to penalize your yields, and therefore forcing some bailouts for countries that may not need them in the first place. So how do you reconcile the two?
Again, there's very little he can do. Everyone sees him as a lame duck. One knows whatever he declares can be immediately reversed. But I think it would be in the interest of the European Central Bank as an institution that a continuity is established between Trichet and incoming President Draghi.
And do you think we'll get that? Because there's also a lot of changes at the executive board. So over the next 6 months, we're going to have a whole new panel.
I actually think there's probably more likely that there'd be no change, just hold a steady course and talk optimistically about the future.
What is the one thing that is worrying you in terms of what the ECB policy can do? So aside from today, do they actually have the tools left? Sure, they can cut interest rates. They've been buying a lot of the bonds, but what concretely can they do to get us out of this possible recession?
Okay, I'm afraid the really bad news is monetary policy alone is not sufficient. That monetary policy can hurt us if it goes in a bad direction. But we're at a point now where it can support a coordinated fiscal expansion in the northern countries.
Do we need an enlarged EFSF? I know Angela Merkel here in Germany is opposed to that. A lot of politicians are saying, well, let's wait until at least the countries ratify, this first EFSF. But the markets are already thinking ahead. We need to ring fence not only Greece, but Italy, Spain, and any bigger country that may need support.
I believe the Powell doctrine here in economic affairs of overwhelming force is probably advisable, that large is credible and small is not. And I think here the failures have been a failure of going 2 sizes too small rather than 1 size too large.
Professor, we only have 20 seconds left. Are we seeing a banking crisis?
We are so close to a banking crisis. It's very uncomfortable.
All right, thank you so much. That was Irwin Collier, Professor of Economics and Institute Director at Freie Universität here in Berlin.